The tea is exceptionally good today. Who made this? Very delicious. Hold on.
Hey, my cosmic cousins, it's your girl Nova Charm, and welcome to another episode of Astrology Tea with Nova Charm. And on today's episode, we are diving into the Neptune moving into Aries and how that's going to affect you based on your rising sign. Now, Neptune takes 165 years to make it one cycle around the sun. Needless to say, Neptune be having shit to do. But all jokes aside, this is major for us. We just finished up wrapping up a cycle that was started by your grandmother's grandmother. And not only are we wrapping up that cycle, but we are also beginning a new cycle that will affect your grandchildren's grandchildren. So needless to say, the ancestors definitely had a lot of faith in us. And we all should feel honored to begin this new cycle. But to make sure that we start this cycle right, we need the gems to know exactly what type of cycle we supposed to be starting based on where this sits in our astrological chart. And I am absolutely honored to give you this tea on this. But before I get to pouring, you already know what to do. Go on and hit that like. Go on and subscribe to your girl and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I be wanting to sip with y'all. Now let's get into it. Now first, let's break down Neptune a little bit. Neptune is that planet of dreams, illusion. It literally rules the dream world and it symbolizes our subconscious. Now, with that being said, Neptune also is the place where we can find our hidden enemies because our subconscious can sometimes be that, okay? So the next time you have a hidden enemy come to light, always remember that they are a mirrored reflection of your subconscious, okay? Just know that. Now, Neptune also represents the spiritual world and also mysticism. It represents the search of the divine, the enlightenment, and the feeling of oneness with the universe. And while we're on the subject, we're also talking about intuition here. We're talking about that gut feeling or that psychic sensitivity that bypasses that logic or that reason. Now, this dreamy energy also allows us to tap into our imagination. Now, this energy takes us into the creative deep waters. We're talking about visual arts, film, poetry, music. All of this stuff lives in Neptune. After all, it's the dream that allows our imagination to sing. Ooh, I ate with that one. That's all me too. I made that up. Don't be trying to use it. But because of the fact that Neptune rules over the illusion of it all, glamour, Neptune is heavily associated with photography, movies, and all of the things that is magic when it comes to cinema. We're talking about filters. It's really all about the fantasy. This energy governs abstract. It governs that rhythmic flow and that emotional connection to music and lyrical expression. The power of imagination gives us the ability to visualize worlds that do not exist and create based on expanded thought. Now, because Neptune energy is so far out in the universe, it has the ability to collect all of the energy from all of the other planets. With that being said, it gives the ability to absorb feelings of others. We call it empathy. And this is the ability to absorb feelings of others, often to a point where you can't even distinguish whether or not it's your feelings or if it's the other person's. And that's what Neptune does. Now, because of the fact that Neptune is out of bounds, it tends to be limitless when it comes to boundaries. It loves without boundaries. It doesn't have much judgment. There's just a lot of acceptance there overall. And Neptune energy also deals with charity and self-sacrifice. Because of the fact that it has the ability to feel everything, it increases that need to help. Neptune energy can't watch others suffer. And because of the fact that it lacks boundaries, it can sometimes overdo it to a point where it's self-sacrificing. Now, because of this fact that this energy lacks boundaries, it can easily lead to codependency or easily being taken advantage of, which is definitely one of the challenges of that Neptune energy, as well as confusion. This energy can give a lot of brain fog and can easily lack clarity when it comes to direction. This energy can also be easily deceived or just be in flat out denial. This energy literally only sees what it wants to see and not things for what it really is. It can be hard for this energy to take off those rose-colored glasses. I mean, our girl loves our glamour magic. Neptune energy doesn't care about what's real. It only cares about the world that it creates, often making itself the victim. And because of the fact that it lacks boundaries, it easily is a lot of times. It could also leave this energy prone to addiction, which is a form of escapism. So with that being said, Neptune rules alcohol, drugs, excessive sleeping, or getting lost in a game or some type of fantasy reality type thing. Now, when it comes to the physical world, Neptune is represented by water, ocean, rain, anything that is in fluidity. It also represents chemistry like poisons, gases, and anesthesia. And because Neptune is all the way out there by itself and has purposely isolated itself, this energy also deals with institutions of isolation. Now, this would be your prisons, your hospitals, a Montessori, a retreat, just anything where there is a separation from society. Now, Neptune rules over Pisces. And since 2011, Pisces was home chilling in Neptune. Just quietly, just chilling. Now think back to 2011 for yourself. What was you doing then compared to what you're doing now? What was that journey like while Neptune was in Pisces? Now for the mutable signs, I'm sure it was a bit foggy for y'all. And when I'm talking about mutable, I'm talking about Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and the Sagittarius. And conveniently, everybody and their mama was on a spiritual journey, and everybody was blaming the age of Aquarius, when technically we not in the age of Aquarius. The real reason why everybody has been on their spiritual journey is because Pisces was quietly chilling at the house. Now we've seen the effect that Pisces has had on all of us, because like I said, if you think back to 2011, I'm sure you are in a completely different space than what you are today, especially with all the crazy shit that's been going on currently. So now we're about to cross this Aries point. And so what does that really mean for us? Well, for starters, from now until 2039, we are embarking on a new collective consciousness. This is a time where you take that dream that Piscean energy was giving you all the way back from 2011 to now. We take that and turn that into something tangible with that first spark of creation and bringing it into reality. This is about a spiritual legacy here. And with that Aries energy, we definitely are going to have to fight for what we want. Aries is ruled by Mars, and it's a fire element. So it comes off raw. It comes off aggressive. It steps in the building and says, I am, with its full chest. This energy is impulsive, and it comes in ready to conquer. It's all about that action. This is that independent leader that would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. They ain't on it. And Aries is a cardinal sign, meaning that its purpose is to start things. Its purpose is to get things going. And seeing that it's the very first sign of the zodiacs, it's considered the baby. So the energy has sort of a wide-eyed, youthful type of energy, and innocence about itself that's just like, I'ma just leap out there and go. For instance, like Capricorn energy is like the 10th energy, right? It moves a lot slower. It's going to take its time. It's not going to just leap out there. But Aries energy is, it's quick, fast, and all about that competition. And it's athletic as hell. And it leads with the head. And I mean literal and metaphorical too, because, you know, it represents the head as far as the part of the body. And you know what else leads with the head? The ram, which is the symbol of Aries. Now, the negative part of this energy is the fact that it can be haphazard and it can be reactive. It often jumps out there without thinking. And because it is the god of war, it has an explosive temper. It's always ready for a fade or two. And it can get to popping off real quickly too. Now, because this energy loves to get things started, it can sometimes be a little impatient. That means it will get a lot of things started, but it will leave some shit undone. Once that thrill is gone, that boredom will easily set in. And when it comes to Aries energy, it will quit something as quickly as it started it. Now, because Aries energy is so competitive, it can be obsessed with winning. And this is by any means necessary. Now, Aries energy is exalted in the sun. It enjoys the creativeness of the sun energy, and it enjoys the fire. It also loves the fun that the sun can provide. See, now a planet like Saturn doesn't necessarily enjoy it there. It don't like structure, and it damn sure don't like no authority. It's its own authority, you know? So when Saturn meets up with Neptune over in Aries, this is going to be a bit interesting to see how this turns out. But of course, I'm going to have a video for that down the line, and we'll speak on that a little bit more. But we're going to keep the focus on Neptune. Now, with that being said, the combination of these two energies obviously is going to be an interesting mix. We have that water energy and that heat of the Aries energy, which is going to make steam. Steam typically comes from high pressure. And when it comes to a high pressure environment, it's going to be both uncomfortable but perfect. profoundly transformative. Now, one of the first things that I thought about when I started thinking about Neptune and Aries is spiritual warrior. Now, stepping out of the Neptune and Pisces era, where everything was a little bit more passive, we are walking more into a period of action and self-discovery. It's no more just sitting back watching things go on and talking about how we would like to see things change. Oh, no. Aries is not about sitting back, talk about shit. Aries is all about what you want to do. So what you want to do is very confrontational. Neptune in Pisces was all about disassociation. Everyone collectively was trying to find a spiritual path. Neptune in Pisces energy was all about meditation. It was definitely more about taking a spiritual retreat. Now, even though the spiritual unity was beautiful, it was absolutely beautiful. Don't get it wrong. Once the energy starts to get in its higher degrees, the pressure of that energy becomes too much. That energy itself becomes too much. Towards the end of that Pisces and Neptune, the spiritual psychosis was at an all-time high. You had people thinking that they was about to be raptured from the earth to the point where they was giving their kids away. And I was thinking to myself, you getting raptured, but your kids ain't? You think your kids that damn bad, they ain't gonna make it to heaven, huh? That's crazy. And because Pisces energy, when it becomes too much, it becomes lazy. This energy can easily turn into numbing despair. When you're sitting around wallowing in a situation but not willing to do much about it, you're okay with being the victim at this point. This is exactly why energy has to max out at that 29th degree and then follow over into a completely different energy. Because once it reaches that peak, like you done got on everybody's damn nerves with this energy. This energy easily caused mass escapism. And we definitely been doing a lot of that on social media. We've been doing a lot of scrolling. We've been doing a lot of typing. We've been doing a lot of talking about it. But up until recently, hasn't been a lot of action. Well, Aries energy comes in and says enough is enough of that shit. And it's going to come through and cut out all of that spiritual fall. And this energy is going to cause a collective shift. Well, we are literally dissolving that idea of oneness and getting back to the separation of self. This is about that soul-driven action. And this energy is definitely going to bring about the higher convictions of the spirit and bringing those into the forefront of your reality. This isn't the energy of change. This is the energy of scrap that and start all over. And it really is giving spiritual reset. We are literally bringing about the new dream of humanity into our everyday to day reality. This is what I mean when I say this energy is so big. Now, the previous 165-year cycle actually begun in the mid-19th century. Now, during this time, we had the invention of the photograph, cinema, and our modern pharmaceuticals. So it would be safe to say that during these new cycle that we're going to be dealing with new versions of these things. We're talking radical innovations here. I would imagine that we see all types of breakthroughs when it comes to biological fertility, as well as quantum healing, and also the exploration of consciousness. Now, if you want to know where we're going, you got to know where we've been. And we've been here before. Maybe not so much the same exact way, but we still been in this energy before. Now, the last time we were here was 1861. Yeah, I said that right. 1861. And this energy remained in Aries all the way until 1875. Now, in history, this period was marked as a massive ideological upheaval. And during that time, that old system was violently dismantled. Okay, now let's talk about it. The American Civil War. Now, the Civil War actually started almost exactly as Neptune entered into Aries in April of 1861. Now, we already know that April's energy is Aries energy. Now, this conflict and battle was considered a battle over identity. It was about morals, it was about independence, it was national, and it was racial. Now, that Neptune energy is all about that human equality. And Aries energy is fire of combat. So this energy easily led us into the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Now, this was considered a sacred moment of spiritual and society liberation. This energy dissolved the borders of the traditional birth to align a new sovereign reality. Now, it was definitely going down in the 1860s, and I love talking about the past. However, it's presently going down right now, so we need to know what this is looking like for us. Well, for starters, Neptune in Aries is definitely going to throw up that middle finger to any of the institutions or hierarchies of control. This is getting back to the return of individual sovereignty. Now, because of the fact that Neptune is not a fast-moving planet, it's not like this transit was something that snuck up on us, you know? This is something that had built up through time. However, Pisces shifting to Aries is kind of like moving through the birth canal. Now, we already got a little sneak peek of this energy back on March 30th of 2025. And we stayed into that energy up until October 22nd of 2025 when that retrograde energy entered back into Pisces. This was for the final au revoir. This is that final goodbye where we were cleaning out those old dreams, that old closet, forgiving the people who need to be forgave, and making room for the new. Now, January 26th makes it official. This is that fire starter pack and the beginning of a 13-14 year era. Now, trust me when I say this transit is meant to be taken seriously. And we know that because Saturn will be joining the party soon thereafter, right? And when these energy meets up at 0 degrees, being in conjunction with a planet that's dealing with structure, karma, and reality, also your discipline, it lets you know that this is not something to play around with. And you know, as soon as it comes time for Saturn to go into Aries, I'm going to have a video dropping on that. So I will dive more into that energy in that video. But I just want to stress to you how important it is. Because of the fact that there's a generational influence, we will be shaping the attitudes, the social trends of the future. This is a reset on all of those things. Even if you look at Hollywood right now, nobody looks at any of these celebrities the same way that they used to. Knowing all the shit that really transpired in Hollyweird, and knowing the word Holly itself is a spell. Like, I ain't even gonna listen. This is the wrong video. If y'all want me to drop the tea on that, let me know, and I'll go ahead and drop a video on that on my Wisdom Tea Thursdays. But just know that a lot of this shit be spells, and all of this is according to Neptune. Now, when it comes to these celebrities, because of the fact that Neptune had been in those outer bound planets for so long, like none of us in our lifetime has ever experienced Neptune in any of the personal planets. And it don't get no more personal in energy than it does with Aries, because it literally is the first house. Now, with that being said, celebrities seem to be so untouchable. They seem to be this perfection or an idea of perfection. They had a perception of a lifestyle that they would show everybody, and everybody was just like, ooh, I would love to live like that. Now we see in the truth behind the camera and how most celebrities live in their very own prison. A lot of them have fell victim to addiction or dealt with certain mental disorders. And instead of seeing them as stars, we're starting to see them as human beings. They are making themselves a little bit more personal and more available. Hell, you could get on TikTok right now and one of a celebrity be on a live stream. Hell, I bet Tamar Braxton on right now. All I'm saying is you're able to see them in a more personable way. Not to mention they lost their flavor for being a star, because there is going to be a reset on what you consider to be a star. And yes, we will still have those, and we will still have some brand of celebrity, because that's what Neptune energy gives. But it's not going to be from the fake people. It's going to be from the real, authentic people. And I know what you're thinking, like, Nova, I know you fucking lying. You talking about authentic people, and you talking to us from an avatar. But trust me, I knew what I was doing when I set up this channel. And I knew I was going to have a hard road ahead of me, because I could have easily got on here as me. My information is not going to change. My personality, my sense of humor, all of that shit is one of a kind. So you damn sure getting the authentic Nova charm. However, I'm not going to imprison myself by putting my image all out there, especially during a time when deepfake is so real. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I have limited posting any real photos of myself on any of the social media platforms. And this is just my own personal choice based on the direction of where we're about to go with all of this AI stuff. But one thing about it, and two things for sure, when it comes to this personality and this information and this tea that I have, baby, AI cannot duplicate that. Okay, so I work with it and not let it do the job for me. No, absolutely not. Now, another big thing about the Piscean era is that the spirituality often became very performative. Everybody was more focused on the spiritual look of it all, showing everybody else that they're living a certain life. You have to wear this, you have to do this, you have to wear your hair a certain way, you have to wear this type of clothes, you have to have this type of diet, and the need for everybody to agree with you collectively. Now, let me just say this. If you know you right about something and you know you on the money about some shit, you don't need everybody else to sign off and give their nod of approval. A fact is a fact. And if you know it to be a fact, then nobody else needs to know it, okay? So as soon as I start seeing people trying to convince other people how they are supposed to live, what spirituality is supposed to look like, it instantly makes my ass itch, because that's the performative shit that I be talking about. We don't have to move at a hive mind, okay? Two different people doing two different practices as far as spirituality is concerned does not mean that one or the other is wrong in what they practice, because they are doing what works for them. And you are doing what works for you. But because of the fact that we've been programmed with this system mentality, even when we call ourselves stepping away from that construct, it still slips back in. And this comes from people not trusting themselves. A lot of people feel a lot more confident if they feel like a lot more people are contributing or agree to it. You just got to be confident in what you know to be true. And with that being said, discernment is going to be paramount. It's going to be really, really important for you to be able to discern between what is real and what is fake. Now, Aries rules self-identity as well as the head and the face. Now, when you pair that with the planet of illusion, along with that Saturn restriction, it can suggest that there will be a crisis regarding online identity. And this is part of the reason I made the personal decision to limit posting of my actual self. Now, I know I made my AI avatar cute as hell, right? But I still made her somewhat cartoonish. Now, I didn't do it to a point to where she's an actual cartoon, because I'm not 5 and I didn't want her to be a cartoon. However, I did not want to make her too realistic to where individuals would think that this was actually me. That's why I made sure when I made this channel that I put it in the bio that this channel uses an AI avatar. Full transparency here. With that being said, there are some AI programs that can use a filter to turn you into a completely different person. If you get an opportunity, Google WAN AI, and you will see that this is an AI program that will literally take your video and whatever photo you upload with that video, it will then take that picture and put it in that video, ultimately making you a completely different person. Now, the scammers is finna have a ball with this. Because all they gotta do is get a picture of some pretty girl and upload it with their video, and now they're the pretty girl. And they're gonna be scamming the shit out of some poor, lonely person. All I'm gonna say is be careful out here in these streets. I would definitely cut back on internet dating. This is a time where you want to get more face-to-face with it. And make sure that you make yourself familiar with all of the different AI programs that are available out there, so you know what to look for, so you're not easily fooled by certain things. Just keep an open mind that we are definitely entering a time or a cycle where cameras, computers, and cosmetic surgery can turn individuals into some completely different version of themselves that they've always wanted to be. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just make sure you're not getting scammed in the process. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff. We are building our ancestors' wildest dreams. Also our wildest dreams. Hell, let's not take away from that. And we are building into a spiritual legacy that will affect generations down the line. I don't know, man. I just always wanted to be that ancestor that was in that big oil painting with the gold trim, and it's so huge on the wall, and it's in the hallway of the big mansion, and my ancestors walk down that hallway and they look up at my picture and they like, look at my great grandmother. It's because of her we have what we have right now. She planted the seed that we continue to grow into the legacy that you see before you right now. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So with that being said, we got to get this party started right. So we need to see how we're going to run it for the first 14. Now, Aries risings, this sits in your first house. This is the legacy of sovereign self. Now, for Aries risings, Neptune is moving directly through your house of identity, appearance, and beginnings. This is the ultimate shift of all shifts. Because of the fact that this is going to affect your overall chart, this is going to affect every single aspect of your life. Now, this energy is definitely going to feel like you're waking up from a long sleep, and you're going to find that that ego that you once had no longer fits. Whereas before you was just a high head, now you're going to have more of a divine filter. Now, this energy is definitely about dissolving that old ego. This is a time to discover your more intuitive and inspired vision of yourself. The focus is a legacy being built on courage and being authentically you, even when it feels a little uncomfortable. Now, you do want to be cautious of any type of self-deception. This is not a time to be wearing masks. This is a time where you need to be authentic to your true energy. And not only be authentic to your true energy, but celebrate your energy too. The colors that I want you to think about is gold, purple, or even some bold silhouettes. All I'm saying is be on your royalty shit. Now, for my Taurus risings, this is the legacy of the sacred silence because this falls in your 12th house. Now, Neptune being in the 12th house, this is its home. 12th house deals with the unconscious, the spirituality, the cycle, and the closure. This is going to be a time where you want to get reacquainted with your one self. You'll be discovering a lot of hidden gems and also a lot of new gifts. Now, of course, you can expect to have strange dreams and visions. You definitely want to make sure you have you a dream journal nearby. This is going to be a soul's journey for you. Your legacy is going to come through the karmic resolution as well as spiritual breakthroughs. This is about gaining that inner peace. And during this time, you're going to have to trust your inner knowing. Make space for surrender and silence. And embrace those subtle transformations that come up. Now, for my Gemini risings, this is the legacy of the collective vision because this comes in your 11th house. Now, that 11th house deals with the friendships, networks, and your future goals. It also deals with the internet and social media. This is all about finding new creative ideas that will not just affect you, but also affect everyone else as a whole. You are definitely going to find yourself more attracted to technology, as well as working with humanitarian groups. Artistic collaborations is also a big thing around this energy. Now, this energy is definitely going to have you sorting through your friend group. You are going to keep those friendships that are gems and throw out any of those fake stones that come in the form of friendship. And those will be the people who make those big promises but provide zero real value to you. You already know who they are. This is about building a visionary community. And this is definitely a time for you to be extra discerning about who you let in your circle. If you have any big dreams surrounding social media or anything that would be involving networking, this would be a great time to plant that seed and go ahead and get started on that. The universe is definitely in your favor for that. But just make sure that it's always going to be quality over quantity when dealing with any of these subjects. Now, for my Cancer risings, this for you is the legacy of the divine calling. This falls in your 10th house. Now, Neptune is shining its light on the house of your sister sign, which is career, reputation, and your public image. And of course, it has the Saturn energy associated with it, so there's a lot of discipline, karma, and responsibility involved with it too. This energy is going to lead you to find your new professional calling. You are building the structure for a legacy of success and career. You could find yourself having like a new calling. If there's any career that you are interested in involving art, photographs, music, anything like that, the universe is definitely giving its nod of approval, okay? This is when the cuddle monster turns into the executive of the muse. Now, you may struggle a little bit with imposter syndrome because of the fact that you are used to being seen a certain way. But trust me when I say the world sees your brightness even when you don't, okay? This is definitely going to be a time where you need to be compassionate within yourself and find that inner peace so that you can feel safe to pursue those professional achievements. That was a bar right there. I just dropped a bar on you. Anyway, this is a time of recalibration. Focus on the meaningful work because the 10th house is serious. So really use that energy to turn your dreams into reality, okay? Now, for my Leo risings, this is the legacy of the sacred world view because this falls in your 9th house. And that 9th house is all about that expansion. It's all about that travel and those beliefs and philosophies. Now, the universe wants to take you on a journey of some kind. Now, I don't know if that's physical or metaphorical. Only you can tell. But in my opinion, it might be geared a little bit more towards the spiritual journey of it all. Just saying, there's some wisdom to be gained. Now, don't get it twisted. This energy can bring about some moments of confusion, so you do want to be careful around those times. And because you're a Leo rising, you automatically have a lot of ego, okay? It's okay to have those moments, and it's okay to recognize that you have those moments, because you always want to make sure that you bring about the clarity that's needed. And you can only do that when you're not being delusional, okay? Neptune energy can do that. You got to be careful. This is a time for you to expand your worldview, though. Ultimately, you cannot think small any longer. This is a time for you to embrace the unknown and use that aura to brand yourself if necessary. Now, you can even find yourself on a soul's journey to being a spiritual guide or some type of spiritual teacher by the end of this. Definitely maximize that Leo energy to have the courage to step out there. And for whatever reason, I feel like you should play into your hair. I mean, Leo energy deals with the mane, which is the hair. So I don't know. I just feel like you should. With that, Pisces, Neptune energy there. Why not? Now for my Virgo risings, this is the legacy of building power. By this sitting in the 8th house, which deals with the transformations, shared resources, as well as power, this energy is going to take a deep dive into the body to find the divinity. Now, the things that you want to make sure that you're dissolving is any type of financial or emotional or intimate boundaries. Now, my spreadsheet warrior, you are now transforming into the mystic of the mortgage. You're going to find the beauty in life and the purpose in life through surrendering into the depths of your deepest spirit. This is about a spiritual rebirth for you. Also, you're learning to rely more on universal energy and less on financial resources. Now, you do want to make sure you watch out for any type of financial illusions around debt or any type of unclear agreements. This is not a time where you want to be too trusting with people. You want to make sure that you're reading all the fine print. Now, when you're ready to tap into your intuition with a placement like this, you got to make sure that you're drawing into your physical body. Now, when it comes to my Libra rising, this is the legacy of the soulful mirror, because this is in your 7th house. Now, the 7th house is the relationships, partnerships, and projections. It's that good old mirror. Now, this is a spiritual test, simple and plain. And Libra risings, this is a big one for you because this is your home house and your overall chart revolves around this energy. The universe is going to require you to dissolve any old partnerships that lack depth. Now, for a long time, you done sat on the fence. Now it's time for you to get a clear picture of what romance looks like for you and only connect with people who carry that energy. Now, because this is a legacy dealing with divine partnerships, you can expect to meet a lot of fairy tale like downright soulful connections, but you have to stand on business. And what this means is if they have not shown you anything, then don't believe what they say. Libra risings, you can have a tendency to romanticize everything because you just really love. But your ancestors are dependent on you, and it's time to learn how to merge with others without losing yourself in the process. So it is going to be mandatory for you to maintain your clarity when it comes to anything love or any type of partnerships. When it comes to this energy, making the right decision in your partnerships is like making the right decision for generations to come. You should definitely be looking to a partner that inspires you. Now, when it comes to my Scorpio risings, you're dealing with the legacy of the sacred mundane. That's right, Scorpio risings. Your transit is hitting your 6th house of health, daily routines, and overall rhythm of life and service. Learning to build a healthy rhythm for your daily habits is going to be paramount. Now, the 6th house deals with habits, so you want to make sure that you have healthy habits. If I were you, I would be looking into holistic healing as much as possible, being incredibly mindful about what you're putting in your body. Not saying that you can't eat what you want, but just make sure that you have like a well-balanced diet. Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with having your fun food, but just make sure that you have your healthy food too. And figure out a way to turn your healthy food into fun food, by the way. Now, because the 6th house is also the house of work, I would not be surprised if you changed your job or your daily work to something that was a little bit more health focused, or maybe even dealing with yoga, or just go ahead and implementing those spiritual gifts that you have and those psychic gifts and turning that into somewhat of a work or career for yourself. This legacy is about spiritual empowerment. And this is going to happen through international life building. Now, because this is the sixth house, it is the work house. You do want to make sure that you watch out for any type of burnout or fatigue, because Neptune doesn't have any boundaries. Sometimes it does not allow you to have a stopping point. You just keep going and going and going. Self-care needs to be a priority for you, and you're going to have to be conscious of any type of boundaries when it comes to work, as well as double checking your medical advice. Now, for my Sagittarius risings, this is the legacy of the creative fire in the fifth house. Now, that fifth house is the house of creativity, romance, kids, as well as self-expression. This energy is actually given cinematic. Neptune and the universe really just want you to enjoy the joys of life. Having the courage to self-express yourself is going to be big here. And you'll probably be influenced a lot by your dreams. So I would keep a dream journal just for creative purposes and make sure I jot down any type of random thought. Now, my little human GPS, you are transforming into the vessel of sacred expression. This is where creating from your heart is going to create the legacy that you always wanted. Now, this is definitely one of the most creative transits. So when I say you better utilize that, you better utilize that. And I'm talking about anywhere from art, music, or even in your romance area. There's going to be a lot of cinematic moments being delivered to you. And the universe really just wants you to embrace it and live in the moment. This is a time of sacred play. Now, during this time, you do want to avoid falling into any type of unhealthy attachments. Use as much time as you need to film music or form arts. Anything that will let your inner child play. That is going to be the biggest thing for you. This is going to be the healing of the inner child for you. Now, for my Capricorn risings, this is the legacy of the ancestral sanctuary, and this falls in your fourth house. And that fourth house is the house of home. It's our family, our roots, and our childhood memories. Now, this is about ancestral karma and also your emotional safety. And this is sitting in the house of your sister sign. Now, when those family secrets get to bubbling and coming out, this is going to be the time where your family can literally confront them and put those incomplete childhood memories to bed. This is a time of emerging into a light of therapeutic healing all the way from the root. Now, you Capricorn rising are my boss of all bosses, but this is going to be a time for you to be creating a sanctuary of peace and love, and most importantly, a sense of security. Now, that water energy of that fourth house, as well as Neptune, is going to hit you and pull on your bodies of water. And you will discover everything that you need to know that literally awaits within. Now, this is going to give you some emotional foundation. This is a building beyond physical structures, which is what you're used to. This is definitely going to be a time for you as well to connect with your inner child and focus on making your home a place of peace and healing. Now, for my Aquarius risings, this is the legacy of the visionary mind. This is hitting your third house. Now, that third house is communication, learning, as well as the daily rituals. This is about attuning your new teachings. Whatever you're writing, if you're working on some type of podcast or maybe even a YouTube, or if you find yourself teaching others, this will now feature content that you once considered to be abnormal. Now, you, my dear Aquarius risings, are my little human puzzle. And you are absorbing information at high levels. Now, you might find that your mind is thinking in the form of patterns. And what that is actually doing is bridging all of those dreams that you had into a reality. You are walking into the legacy of the mental expansion. And because of the fact that, and one of your planetary parents, which would be Uranus, will soon be going into Gemini. So this energy is definitely heavy for you, okay? You are going to be tapping into new perspectives and bringing ideas of new possibilities into existence. I need you Aquarius risings to really trust your heightened intuition. And if you decide to have a partner, make sure it's somebody who can keep up with you intellectually. Don't be afraid to get into a little bit more mystic topics, okay? Now, for my Pisces risings, this is the legacy of the spiritual value. This hits your second house. Now, that second house deals with your income, your self-worth, all things tangible, and all the things that you value. Now, you are moving from finding yourself to establishing your own financial means by support. Now, it's time to stop overthinking, my little dreamer, and turn into that financial mystic. Your value system is definitely going to shift. But most importantly, how you value yourself is going to be incredibly important. This is a time of spiritual abundance. So set that value high because you are what you feel you are. Now, during this time, you'll definitely discover new income sources, but this is going to take a little bit of connection to your inner being and really taking the time to focus to make those dreams into reality. You got to make sure that you set up firm boundaries when it comes to financial matters. Make sure that you're questioning your relationship with money and security, and make sure that it matches up to what it should be. Okay? Now, a lot of the Neptune type of themes will collectively change up, and it will have more of a Mars flair to it. But most importantly, Neptune in Aries is a spiritual call to action. It marks the end of a cycle of 165 years of a collective dream, and we are now heading into a new one, a new astrological era that invites each person to become a hero in their own journey. This is a time for us to grab our dreams by the horns. And remember, this is a marathon, but we're going to get a strong start on this, right? We definitely have the courage and the resilience to get it done. Stop playing. Now, my cosmic cousins, y'all know I love to get to talking, but I'm about to go ahead and wrap this video on up. But if you made it this far with me, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like. Go on and subscribe to your girl if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I be trying to sip with you. I'm out of here, y'all.